Okay, I think we are live. Welcome to the Whiplash Recovery presentation. We have a lot of great things ready to present for you tonight. So if you're watching this, you've probably been in an accident or you know somebody who has. You didn't ask for this to happen. You were going along, doing your work, taking care of your kids, taking care of family, and now all of a sudden this is interfering with your life. So we're going to try to give you a way to recover from this as fully as possible so this no longer becomes an issue that you have to continue to deal with for the rest of your life, financially or physically. So stay tuned. And we're going to give you some great information, critical steps everyone should take to protect their finances. So that won't be me that will be presenting that. 3 tips for maximum recovery and pain reduction, and 3 little-known strategies to prevent your pain from becoming chronic. So this is going to be some great information. It's going to be attorney Justin Farahi, myself, Dr. Jay Hobbs, and licensed massage therapist Daniel Morales. So the first thing we think after have some pain or crick in our neck or we're in an accident is, won't this just go away on its own? That sure would be nice because I've got better things to do. And what are my options? Who can tell me what really is the best choice, the best way to go? We see all these ads on billboards and everything, people telling us, or ads on Facebook, they can tell us what to do. We're going to give you some straight answers tonight that you can use to help yourself recover or help others. I'll tell you a couple stories. So Jackson, 23-year-old male, he spent 3 months, and I'm going to let you see a little close-up of this, the screen so that you can see this better. So 3 months, he had an exam when he saw us after 3 months after his accident. All right. So they're telling me we're not live yet, but I think we are. I think it's just not coming through on the screen yet. So we'll see. All right. So 23-year-old male, 3 months. We did an exam. He still had headaches. He still had short-term memory problems and poor balance. This is the patient we saw just recently. All these issues after 3 months. It's not just going to go away. Now, it may gradually improve over time, but let's maximize that improvement. Rachel, 54-year-old female, 5 months after her accident, she came in, she started treatment, and after 4 months of treatment, she no longer had headaches. Her balance was normal, and her low back pain was almost entirely gone. And finally, Michael, 32-year-old male, after 6 months, we saw him. But here's the problem. He settled his case with the insurance at 2 weeks. They gave him $1,800. He was super excited, and that covered his car repairs. But then his pain didn't go away, and some new things actually started to develop. But he already gave his money away, his rights to any more money to have his payment covered by the insurance. So we don't want to see that happen. We're going to help try to protect you with some great information tonight. All right. So we're going live? Okay, good. So it looks like we are live. So this is the way we're going to help you out. We're going to do some different people who are going to help you out. So attorney Justin Farahi will kick things off by sharing how to protect yourself and maximize your benefits legally and financially. So it's going to be some great information. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Then we'll have Daniel who will share how specific muscle work that he's trained to do can do wonders for your body for healing and pain reduction. And finally, I'll close out by explaining the secrets to making your whiplash something of the past that doesn't become chronic back pain, neck pain, headaches, or other problems. And I'll share with you some very specific supplements and the number one exercise that I think is everyone should do after an accident. So who can maximize my recovery? I'm going to tell you about a few different professionals real briefly, and then we'll get into the specifics. So motion guides healing. Action guides healing. There is people who work specifically for your whole body or a region of your body. A person, and then if you go to the gym, that's great for your body, right? Or if you have a trainer, they may work on a specific muscle, a specific region of your body to help develop that. So that's awesome. Massage therapy, whole body, or of course they're going to work on specific areas, but really it's helping your whole body recover and get better. And this is a passive thing. Passive means it's done to you. Active is something you do yourself. Physical therapists, they tend to be more regional specific. Not always, but they tend to be. And so they may work on your shoulder or your neck or your lower back. So they're region specific. And this is all really good stuff. Chiropractic, it's passive, meaning we do it to you. And it's segmental. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. And then brain. Who does this? So functional chiropractor or functional neurologist or chiropractic neurologist. It's active and passive. We have the spine here because the spine is super important for restoring brain function, but we also can do things specifically to rehabilitate the brain, and we'll talk to you about that tonight. And then finally, your finances. So this deals with your pocketbook, finances, and legal. So is there a problem with doing nothing? Well, this may be the one of the most obvious, and our attorney is going to help us understand that there is an issue. There is a problem with doing nothing. So attorney Justin Farahi, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him, founder of Farahi Law. I think I'm saying that right. It's always a little challenging for me. Okay. Best 15 lawyers in 2024 by MSN News. Best car accident lawyer in 5 cities. Attorney of the Year 2025 by Top 100 Lawyers. He has expertise in auto and motorcycle accidents, wrongful death, traumatic brain injury, and more. He also does outreach. He in his office with nonprofits such as I Am a Movement, not a Monument, School on Wheels, Path, My Little Outfit, and Harvest Home. And there's a lot more things. I couldn't list them all here, so you can go on his website and see the other accomplishments. But I would like to introduce attorney Justin Farahi. So I'm going to try to see if I can get my technology working here. There, I see him. Now we're going to
let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. So let's.
Fantastic. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you. We have a little bit of extra light. You look like a Star Wars figure. There we go. That's good. Okay.
Well, very nice to see you virtually. Is there a way to know how big the crowd is today, so I know how many people I'm speaking to, and I can kind of, and is there a way for me to answer questions?
So yes, on both. So right now we've got people in the office online. We'll let you know. It's one person for sure. So they probably represent 100. So not very many right now, but we'll let you know if there's a question. We'll relay that over to you. Okay. It is going to be a bit delayed. Okay.
Personal injury attorneys in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, we had a very cushy job. Basically, the insurance companies would pay us 2 to 3 times medical bills. It was, during those periods, it was basically, you had $1,000 worth of medical bills, you'd submit it to the insurance company, they give you $9,000. And there was some litigation, but I mean, you would never really see personal injury attorneys with 2 exceptions. And in the 80s and 90s, the insurance companies applied a new calculation system, and they started to play around and tinker with the medicals to payment ratios. So, they started at 3. Over a 6-month period, they took it down to 2.9, 2.8, 2.7, 2.6, 2.5. And this was from a company called McKinsey & Company. Some of you may be familiar. It's a multinational consulting firm for large businesses. Into the 80s and 90s, they tried to drop it even lower. And what they found is that at a certain point, there's an inflection point where attorneys start to litigate, right? And that inflection point is right around 2 to 2.2 times medical bills. They saw that when they dropped below that area, all of a sudden their litigation rate, right, number of percentage of cases that go into litigation jumps from 5% to 20%. And attorneys are much more expensive to hire than pre-litigation adjusters for the insurance company. So they found that if they go below 2, they start to quadruple their cost of operation. That is significantly more than going back up to 2.2 or 2.4 times medical bills. And what you'll see since the 1990s till today is very much that game is still being played, but it's being played on a quarter, semi-annual, or an annual basis, depending on the insurance company. They will try to tinker with that ratio. My job is to make sure I make their ratios ugly, right? My job is to make their cost of litigation very high so that my ratio, my personal office's ratio, is 4 or 5 times medicals, and they don't ever think about paying me 2 times medicals. And what I tell my clients is, your ratio is like 1 times medical or even less, because they are not afraid of the cost of litigation against you until you hire me. They don't care, right? They're not afraid of you. And I also tell adjusters, if they would have just given a fair offer from the beginning, I would have never have a job. Right? Could you imagine if insurance companies were giving fair compensation, no one would ever call me. So it's quite a dynamic industry. It's quite a dynamic field. So, I'll go back to Jay. Jay, what would you like me to expand on here? So I've given context to the history and why we're litigating more and how the litigation comes to be. What else can I answer for you?
Yeah.
I'd like to be precise.
Yep. So those are good. You taught me something there. Any questions that anybody had in our audience today? Yes, Alondra.
Does he recommend getting attorneys for even small car accidents or just big car accidents?
Could you hear that?
I did not.
Okay. Would you recommend an attorney for small or large accidents, or just small or just small also, or just large accidents?
I'll tell you, even small accidents. Again, if you just look at the multipliers, let's say you only have $2,500, $3,000 in medical bills. I'll still settle that for 10 grand. Whereas if you try to get it done on the phone with the insurance company, they'll probably just pay you the meds. Net, you probably make, after you pay me, you still probably make 3 grand. I mean, those are not the cases we want. Those aren't the cases we really make our money on. But still, it's better for the client to use an attorney. Plus, we open up the claim for you. We request the medical records for you. We negotiate the medical bills. We resolve all the liens. It's like you're getting all of that for free. Plus, you're getting extra money in your pocket. I gotta say, it's so brainless. Like it's incomprehensible not to hire an attorney in our industry, because we're literally doing it for you for free, and because we do it in volume, right? It's our business. You're gonna do 1 car accident if you're the injured party, right? You're doing one. I do this all day, every day. I already know who to call to open the lien. You need your health insurance paid off. We take care of that. Like it's so wonderful, right? The services we provide are so wonderful and efficient. It would make no sense not to hire an attorney at any level. And by the way, I'll tell you guys, I had a case late in the summer. The client thought he had a $20,000 case. He had one of those billboard attorneys on the case. And we take a look at the case. I look at, some of his medical imaging, and we found something that may cause problems years down the line. He had this ongoing symptomology, and we ended up settling the case for 400 grand.
Wow.
He thought it was a $20,000 case. Again, so we also see things. We know the value of cases. Again, it's kind of like trying to sell a house in a city you don't know. Well, you may look at the house and say, oh, that's not a pretty house. I'm just going to sell it for cheap. But, hey, you're in the best neighborhood. Unfortunately, it kind of is similar in our industry, right? How we define terms, right? If you say I have muscle pain, your case is worth $2,000. You have radicular pain, your case is worth $20,000, right? It's a permanent, nerve damage, nerve impingement issue, your case is worth $100,000. It's the same pain. It has a different defined term. It provides a different defined price.
Mm-hmm. So along those same lines, like a mild traumatic brain injury that's gone on longer than 3 months, where does that fit into that kind of a profile?
Well, again, a headache, a concussion, and a TBI all have different values.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Exactly squarely in that.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, so that's where I try to spend my time as a neurologist going, okay, is there something that defines this as something more serious? So I still try to get them all the way well, but they're less likely to get all the way well. How long is too long after an accident to bring in an attorney?
All right, so I'll give you, it's like, it's how long should my tooth hurt before I go to the dentist, right? I mean, at the end of the day, the sooner the better. But as long as it's hurting, you got to get to a dentist, right?
All right. So there's not any too long.
I'd say, well, every day that goes on, it becomes more of a root canal rather than a cavity, right? So
sooner the better.
I have a client that came to me 2 weeks before the statute of limitations. He was, he fell down. There was a ramp. The ramp gave in. He fell face first into concrete off the ramp.
Ouch.
Shattered teeth, blood everywhere. That's it. That's a pretty. He kept treating. There were no major gaps in treatment. So, like, taking that case after 2 years of him floating around in the, in the non-attorney represented world wasn't a big deal. Now, if you get into a car accident, your first doctor's appointment was the day after the accident, and then you don't see a doctor for 2 years, I'm not touching that case, right? Like, there's just nothing on that case. You could still be in excruciating pain, but one doctor's visit and no visit for 2 years, there's no way any attorney's going to touch that case.
Right.
So, really what's more important is there consistent medical treatment? Because if there's consistent medical treatment, then it shows that you really have been in pain for that long, and then we would take the case. So I'd say it's more about gaps in treatment, realistically, than it is about whether there's an attorney on the case. As long as treatment is ongoing and it's substantiated, right? Like, we never want nonsense, but substantiated medical treatment, then, I mean, realistically, the statute of limitations could be, but generally, you want to get an attorney within 7 days. I'd say within 2 days, personally.
All right.
That way they open up the claim for you. We deal with opening up the claim. Remember, I'll throw in another thing. What you say to the insurance adjuster will be used against you. It's the same thing the police say. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. It's the same with opening up a claim. Because I've had adjusters pull some major bullshit, right? Like, my client says, well, I was driving home from work and I changed lanes, and then I was almost home and I got rear-ended. And then they come to me. I'm like, why? Like, you got rear-ended. Why are you like? Why are they denying liability? Like, yeah, they're denying liability. I'm like, and I get on the phone with the adjuster. Why? Your client said she changed lanes, so she dangerously changed lanes and caused the accident. And I go listen to the recording myself. I'm like, no, dude, she said she changed lanes, and then she almost got home, and like that, again, it was implied that there was this big gap. And she's like, no, we're not changing our liability position because she said she changed lanes. It's like, you're manipulating her words. All right, lawsuit filed, served the next day, right? Like, well, fine, whatever. You want to fight that out? We'll fight it out, because it's pretty clear that it's just a straight rear-ender.
Yeah.
Right. If she's changing lanes, it would be off center. This is a straight on center. Even if you say she changed lanes, you have control of the lane, type of stuff. But I don't want you talking to the other side ever. Right. That's like a big part of it. I don't want you talking to the other side. Don't give them a free recorded statement. That's another reason you want an attorney on your case, because the first letter I sent to them is cease and desist any attempts to communicate with my client.
Mm-hmm. Do you have one more question?
I do. I had a family member that got into a car accident within the last 6 months. I told him.
Here you go. Let me give you the mic so you can just. Okay.
Yeah.
Go up close to your mouth. Can you hear him?
Justin, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good
Awesome. Likewise. So, yes, thank you. Appreciate you. Yes, you can build me later. Right. Yeah.
Hey.
Sweet. Old crypto wallets. I got you. So I had a.
Oh, man. Well, we got to go dumpster.
I had a family member that got into a car accident, and she had her family in the car. And she called me. She's like, "What should I do?" And I was like, "Well, first thing you should do is you should go and make sure that you see somebody." So they went to go see a chiropractor to get checked out, make sure everything was good. And then, because I wanted to make sure that there was a paper trail of their health from the beginning, they had a couple adjustments, and then they went to go seek legal counsel, and they told them that they had 0 case. So now the treatments that they received are now out of pocket.
Let's start with my question. What does that mean that there's no legal claim? How is there no legal claim? Tell me that, because maybe I can help you on that front.
That's a great question.
Was it a T-bone? phone? Was it a disputed liability?
Yeah, no, they got hit from the side as they were going through an intersection. Person wasn't paying attention, went through the intersection, and pretty much hit like the front axle of their car, or kind of the front side of their car.
So why wouldn't they have a claim?
That's a good question. That's what I wasn't sure about. So I was just kind of curious to see why would attorney say that when it almost seems fairly clear that the other person was at fault, and there still could be some physical ailments that need treatment.
Listen, question other than to say, it could be laziness, it could be they're idiots. I got to tell you, we pick up a lot of cases that like are dropped by other law firms. Actually, if you guys want to, oh man, I wish I had the video right. I have a case that was dropped by another law firm that I am potentially going to settle for over $10 million.
Wow.
And it was dropped. The other law firm told them they have no claim. And the awesome part of it is the reason they dropped it is there's a video footage from the dash cam of the defendant. And what it shows is my client accelerating really fast and rear-ending the defendant. So my client rear-ended the defendant. Now, the good thing is the defendant has a massive, like $25 million insurance policy.
Wow.
Well, if you look at the video, okay, and you got to be slow. Like sometimes you can't rush these things. If you look at the video, when you see my client accelerating, you also see the cars to the left accelerating. You see the cars outside the driver's side window also accelerating. Well, if everybody around this car is accelerating at a rapid pace, and my client was driving like a 1990 Jeep, and if anybody knows anything about 1990 Jeeps, they don't fucking accelerate, okay? Like, you slam the gas, it's like an old computer. It takes like 3 seconds for it to even register that it needs to accelerate, right? They're built for off-roading. They're not torquey. They don't accelerate rapidly. So what we were able to determine is this guy was changing lanes trying to get to the shoulder because he was a tow truck. He was trying to get to the shoulder for a call he had received. And it wasn't the other cars accelerating. He cut off my client, slammed on the brakes to try and get to the shoulder. My client goes into the rear of him, and my client's car flips. My client had craniological damage and like a cranial fracture.
Mm.
So, like, that other law firm told them they're at fault. I'm going to go get them more than $10 million. They're going to walk away with like $5 million cash. And all I did was I watched the video fucking 5 times in a row, and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I need to investigate this further. I investigated further, and we determined that he was on his way to a call. The cars were like 200 feet ahead of him. He slammed on the brakes to try and get to the shoulder, cut off my client, and my client went right. And so, to answer go take a look at it yourself. I mean, if something instinctively tells you this is bullshit, call a different attorney. I mean, you're more than welcome to have them call my office, right? The question is, number one, is there a police report?
I don't believe that there was a police report. I would have to get that information from them.
So let me ask you this: how do you know who ran if it's a 4-way? Why do you believe that your family isn't at fault? Other than, well, they told me they're not, right?
Because they were.
It is an argument, but yeah, go ahead.
Because they were majority of the way through the intersection, so just.
Yeah, if you run a red light, you can still be the majority way through. So is it
4-way stop?
A 4-way light, 4-way stop.
4-way
Those
stop.
are my favorites. Okay, so here's the thing about it. Okay, there's people that love easy cases, and there's people that love the trenches. I love the trenches. I make so much money off 4-way stops. It's ridiculous. And you know how I do it? It's really not that hard. I just proved that the other guy didn't stop at the stop sign. So, like, I'll look at the property damage, and I will prove. I actually just had mediation on a case like this last week. All I'm doing is I'm saying, look, your client's impact to my client's car, I hire an accident recon. The accident recon says the amount of speed the defendant's car needed to have to cause this amount of damage is 15 miles an hour. From the stop sign to the point of impact is this many feet. If you slam the gas as hard as you can on that defendant's car, the max impact speed would be 11 miles an hour. That means this guy had to have been at minimum 4 miles an hour running the stop sign, or even as high as 14 miles an hour because he didn't accelerate or decelerate. He kind of cruised through the stop sign and went straight into my client. And that's usually how I win those. Now, do I need significant injuries to make that worth the while? Yeah, I'd want to see some significant injuries and things like that. But now you guys are seeing the inside of my brain and how it works. So, you could look at that thing and see, like, okay, does it look like the defendant ran the stop sign based on the amount of damage to the car, or no? And if the answer is no, then you get into the whole other question of, who had the right of way. And then, again, at a minimum, it's a 50-50, right? And me and the adjuster, if it's really, there's no way to know who ran it, we'll just agree to a 50-50. Now, do you guys know why a 50-50 is good for everybody?
I don't.
Okay. So if you get less than 51% at fault, your insurance rate does not go up. You do not get a point by the DMV. Nobody's at fault, basically, so you get to collect money. You get 50% of the money with none of the penalty. So, like, if you agree to 51% at fault, you get a point on your record, your insurance rates go up, your insurance company puts that marking as a claim on your record. At 50-50, both sides cruise through. So it's actually not a bad outcome. Right? It's not as good as, winning the case, but shit, like, sometimes you just got to know what a good deal is.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and bring up Daniel. Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
Any advice, if you want to send that over, again, justinforjustice.com. So forjustice.com. We're happy to review the case for you. We do case reviews. You have no obligation to sign up. Right? We get free advice all the time. So if there's anything your office or staff ever needs, we're always here for you. And then Jay, you can get a hold of me if you need me. Happy to jump in for anything you guys need.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
I don't ever want to get a car accident, but if I do.
All right. Okay, so now we're going to pull up Daniel to come join us. I'm going to introduce Daniel. So Daniel is owner of Back to Normal Bodywork, certified in neuromuscular therapy, certified in advanced cupping theory, certified in neurokinetic therapy, rock tape, functional movement taping, all kinds of stuff, right? So he knows everything about everything, sounds like. So voted best in Central California in 2022, 23, 24, and I'm sure upcoming years as well. This is his website, backtonormalbodywork.com. A licensed massage therapist. So Daniel, come on up and share with us.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for having me. Hello to everybody out there that is online. Appreciate you guys being online with us today. I'm excited to share some information that could help you understand why your body is feeling the way it's feeling. First of all, Dr. Hobbs, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
As Dr. Hobbs said, my name is Daniel Morales, licensed massage therapist, and I run Back to Normal Bodywork. And over the last 15 years, I've been helping people recover from injuries and pain, especially from things like car accidents and stuff. So one of the things that I've learned over the years that even a small fender bender can have a massive impact on the body and the way it functions. A lot of people think that they're fine when they come out of these small fender benders, but come to find out that weeks or months later, they're experiencing neck tension, back tension, headaches, and things of that sort. So what my goal is today is to share with you guys why that's happening in the body, and then just go through how we can help the body in full recovery. So one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to car accidents is that if you're not hurting right away, that you're in the clear. But that is not the case at all, because the body is very smart. So upon impact, a lot of things happen. The muscles tighten, the nervous system will ramp up because it's getting a lot of feedback from the brain. The brain's telling the body everything that's happening and what it should be doing. And then the adrenaline kicks in, and that's to help mask the pain. So that essentially the body goes into this fight or flight mode. The sympathetic nervous system kicks up, and now the main thing is survival. So at that point, you really don't feel anything. But what happens after that is after you come out of the accident and days or maybe even hours, maybe even weeks, even potentially months afterwards, when that sensation goes away, when the adrenaline goes away, those compensation patterns will start to stick within the body. And now you're left with compensation that you're walking around with that you didn't even know is existing. So what I'd like to explain is when it comes to how the body holds it is the moment upon impact, the body will take a snapshot, or the brain will take a snapshot of what's happening within the body, how your body was positioned, where the pressure or the impact came from, and then at that point, it creates and rewires the brain to almost create a new pattern, a new movement pattern, or a new compensation pattern within the body. So it's rewriting how the muscles are functioning, where they sit in the space, and then just how they're functioning in general. So one day you may feel great and the next day you don't, because these things start to become more of a chronic issue. They start to settle in. So now the acute issue of the impact of the car accident is now walking with you every day of your life, and you just don't realize it yet. So I like to use whiplash as a good example because a lot of people understand what whiplash is. You either hit somebody from the front, or you rear end somebody, or somebody rear ends you. Your neck will snap back, and then it'll snap board. Just very, very straightforward whiplash injury. But in the midst of that, there's straining of the muscles, ligaments, and the tendons. I just want to give you an example of what actually happens in this situation of a car accident where you experience whiplash. So with whiplash, once you hit somebody or you get hit, that first thing is your neck will snap one way, and when it does that, the muscles will naturally grab on that side because it's trying to prevent your head from going any farther, because the muscles are meant to stabilize and to play this balancing act with each of the joints of your body. So as your head goes back and those front muscles clamp down, it wants to bring you back to the neutral position. As you come forward, it holds on to that movement, and it sets you in a place because its main goal is to prevent you from further injury, right? So from there, your muscles are now in a tightened position because we're in protection mode. The body will go into protection or into guarded mode, and then from there, the body will start to compensate. As you walk out of there, the muscles are still in a tightened position, and your body is going to redirect away from the pain that the body is experiencing. So that's where the new compensation patterns happen. You might have one shoulder that hikes up. You might have a head that's tilted one way or the other. Your hip might be hiked up. It just depends on how you were sitting at the moment of impact. A lot of people will drive with one hand on the steering wheel, so it'll cause them to shift one way or to elevate one shoulder versus the other. And upon impact, the brain knows exactly what you're doing, and it tries to figure out how to best protect you and keep you away from that pain. So it's always going to shy away from the pain as best as possible. And with that, the brain rewires itself into thinking it's the new normal. So now this new compensation pattern that you have within your body is now the new way, or the normal way of how your body sits and operates in space. So that's where massage and neuromuscular therapy come in, because we're not just relaxing tight muscles, we're actually working with the brain and muscle connection so that we can retrain and reestablish what messages the brain is actually communicating to the body, because there's been this traumatic experience, and now the brain has to figure out how to play has to maneuver through and orchestrate the body to be able to function well without pain. So a lot of people think that pain is just for, or massage is just for stress relief, but after a car accident, it's actually more than that. It's more so meant for neurological work. So with hands-on therapy, yes, it does. It breaks up a lot of adhesions. It increases circulation. It helps to regain posture. But the most important thing, especially after a car accident, is reestablishing the connection and rewiring and retraining the brain's ability to communicate with the body properly, so that it functions straight and without any kind of compensation and in perfect balance. So when we restore those healthy movements in the body, when we retrain the body to understand front and back has to be balanced, left, right has to be balanced, rotation left, rotation right has to be balanced. At that point, we can reduce pain, we can help the posture to be a lot better. And in the end, we're leading towards more of a full recovery through the entire system. It's not just about feeling better in the moment, but it's actually about resetting the system as a whole so that we're looking at long-term pain relief, not something that's just temporary where the body will start to shift back to that new normal that we talked about earlier. Um, 5 things that I just kind of wanted to go over that are really good for people that have gone through some sort of car accident recently. And for those online, you can definitely do those as we're talking right now. One of them is doing a breathing reset. So doing belly breathing, do 5 breaths, and do that about 3 times a day. When you do belly breathing, put your hand on your stomach because it really brings the mind to where you want to bring the actual oxygen to. And when you breathe, you want to really focus on pushing your stomach out. A lot of people do chest breathing. So when we breathe, we do a very short breath because we're just bringing it to our lungs as opposed to bringing it into our diaphragm and allowing our diaphragm to get filled first before we bring it all the way up into our lungs. So you take a nice deep breath, make sure you push your belly out as you're breathing, and then go ahead and breathe out. So you want to do 5 of those breaths, and you want to do that, anywhere 2 to 3 times a day. And what that does, it'll help relax your neck, relax your shoulders, and also calm the nervous system down. Because in the midst of a car accident, your nervous system elevates because of all the stimulus that it's getting from the brain to the body, because it's the communication, it's the way the brain communicates to the body through the nervous system. So we have to calm that down and help to change the narrative of what the brain is telling the muscles. So at the end result is the muscles actually relaxing and going into a place where they're not in fight or flight mode anymore. Okay. The next one is going through micro movements. So after you've been in a car accident, your body has just experienced something traumatic. And in the midst of something traumatic, the brain wants to protect it as best as possible. So it's going to keep it as close as you can. So that's why a lot of people will experience pain. That pain is a warning signal that says, hey, you probably shouldn't go any farther or else you're going to risk further injury or something even more severe. So the brain will put that kind of check engine light on and say, hey, don't do anything too crazy. We're at risk of further injury. So what the micro movements do is it allows us to just do slow movements, kind of going into the areas of pain where we won't create that trauma response in the brain anymore. A lot of times when we do like a jerky movement, or if we're already experiencing pain and we go to that point just a little bit too far, the brain will say, ooh, we don't like that. We're at risk of injury, and it'll tighten it back up. So it's taking the body and it's protecting it to the best that it possibly can. So those little micro movements is almost like the muscles speaking to the brain and saying, it's okay to move without pain. You can feel comfortable moving without pain. So it's just that gentle way of being able to bring range of motion back into the body without the brain kind of being heightened to the point where it wants to go against it and tighten the muscles back up and prevent the range of motion at preventing any kind of risk of further injury. Number 3 would be postural awareness. So we want to be aware of our posture. As I'm looking here in the stands in the office, I see a lot of people fixing their postures. Posture over time is what creates discomfort in most people. It's just like a dripping sink. Initially the drips in the sink don't seem bad, but if they drip long enough, eventually that sink will fill up and it'll start to overflow. So being mindful of our posture will allow us to assure that our body's in a nice balanced and neutral position, and making sure that we prevent further injury or further discomfort or further pain or risk of injury down the road. So the one thing that I really like to do, especially after a long day, is to make sure that I just pull my shoulders back and I push them down. Because when we do that, our shoulders will now be level with our ears or our head, and then there won't be excess pressure in either direction for our shoulders, for our neck, or for any other areas that could be causing issues. Number 4 would be nutrition and hydration. After you experience some sort of car accident or any kind of a trauma of that sort, there's an inflammatory response that happens within the body. So when we think about nutrition, we want to take in anti-inflammatory type foods, whether it's salmon, leafy greens, berries of sorts. Our goal is to try and reduce the inflammation if we can, because sometimes pain in the body is a result of having too much inflammation, the pressure against the nerve receptors or the pain receptors in the body. So if we can bring the inflammation down, that can also help to naturally reduce the pain that we're experiencing. And then the last one for the things that we can do is don't overdo it. Listen to your providers when you come in to see a medical professional and he or she says like, hey, we need to take it slow. Listen to them. Remember, your body is in a very traumatic mindset at that particular or state at that particular time. So it's important that we don't overdo it and that we don't get to the brain to the point of going into protection mode because we've put it past that point of comfort. If we go anywhere outside of that level of comfort, the brain will then at that point determine whether or not it's at risk of further injury, and that could potentially lead the brain to tighten the muscles up even more. So that's why a lot of times it takes a little more time for the body to heal, because it's more than just a muscular thing. It's the brain, the command center, that's telling the body to do all the rest of the stuff. So it's important to take it slow. Slow healing is good healing because it stays for a lot longer. So the good news, though, is that the body was meant to heal. It was designed to heal. So as long as we give it the right things and as long as we do the right stuff on a daily basis, our body has the potential to have a full recovery. It's just a matter of giving it the right stuff, the right food, going and seeing the right people, doing the right therapies. And then that way we'll be able to make a full recovery in that sense. So if you've been in a car accident, even a small one, it's important that you go and you get the right support. If it's nagging you, make sure that you go see somebody right away. Like Justin was saying, the sooner the better. The longer that we let it sit for, the more it settles into our body, and then that becomes our new norm. And when you go to see somebody like myself or Dr. Hobbs or another medical professional, it'll take a little bit longer because we have to untrain or uncoach or unteach the body of what it's doing at that particular time, and then give it new patterns, new movement patterns, new ways of feeling balance. So small accidents can cause big changes, but with the right care, you can restore your posture, you can reduce your pain, and eventually you can truly feel back to normal. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Daniel. All right. That was some really good information. Have a little more to cover, and then we'll let you guys go. So what is next? Well, we have another presenter. Who is that? Oh, it's me. Okay. Welcome, me. So this is a little bit about me, family chiropractor since 1996. So that's going on almost 30 years now. So yeah. Focus on nervous system and chronic health challenges. Chiropractic neurologist since 2007. So what is that? That's essentially where we look at the nervous system and look how can it be restored to normal function. As opposed to a medical neurologist would look for disease or damage that needs drugs or surgery, or maybe imaging. We look at it and we go, okay, yeah, we need to know if it needs drugs or surgery or imaging, which we don't do drugs or surgery. But then we go, okay, now where we are, how can we restore it naturally to the maximum function? Certified in functional medicine, that's where we use lab testing and lifestyle change, supplementation to help restore the body naturally again. And finally, lecturer and member of the Interdisciplinary Association of Functional Neurology and Rehabilitation. If you can say it 3 times fast, you get to join. It's really just where different providers from different professions come together with this functional neurology mindset and go, how can we restore the body from accidents and non-traumatic brain injury, but also things like attention deficit, dyslexia, autism, and dementia. And the reason we get such amazing results in our office is because we have a different approach. And it's characterized by this term salutogenesis, which is a term that comes from the Latin saluto, which is health, and genesis, the creation of. So it's the creation of health. No amount of focusing on disease is ever going to help you get healthy, right? So we focus on health, factors that create health in your body, and that's how we get you better. And synergy is also another, the combined effect is greater than the sum of the individual effects. So you might need nutrition, you might need massage, you might need brain therapy. You might need adjustments. There's all these different things that your body may need to restore fully. And I'm going to teach you tonight 3 principles for full recovery. Those 3 principles to prevent pain from going chronic include motion, nourishment, and brain pain. These sound a little bit like what Daniel said, right? So we actually didn't coordinate exactly what we were going to say. And he's like, he said everything, so I'm done. No. But there is a lot of similarities, right? So motion guides healing. That's principle number 1. Motion guides healing. Lack of motion leads to scar tissue and pain cycles. You see this picture of this gentleman. He's got a neck brace on. He's in the car. In this case, he might have a fracture or some instability, and that's when braces are good. But if you're like, okay, you know, there's no fractures, there's no instability, but he's injured pretty bad, there's no more neck braces. People don't wear neck braces anymore after accidents. It used to be all the time. They don't do them anymore because it leads to scar tissue and pain cycles, because motion is key. So when should you start moving or exercising? Now. So what if I was in an accident today? Now. Now's the time to move, right? So immediately, how much should I move or exercise? As much as you can. That is, once you know you're safe, right? Things are safe and stable. Then as use effort, you want to move as much as you can, but within the range of comfort. We don't want to go into pain. So now there's a point where you push yourself, and we can help guide you in that specific area. But essentially, you want to move as much as you can without pain. And which movements? Okay, I'm going to teach you the number 1 Whiplash Recovery self-help exercise. It's the yes, no, maybe. So what is that? So yes, all right. Yeah, you can do this with me. Yeah. Now, sometimes people will have pain when they go back. A good little trick to do is to take your hands, interlace them, put them behind your head, behind your neck, head, and then you push back against your hand, and that can reduce that irritation and allow you to go farther. Right? So the yes, the no, look left and right. Go as far as you can without pain. And then the maybe. The maybe could be this, which that's a good one too. But this one's more important. Right? Okay. Yes, no, maybe. There you go. Motion guides healing. Number 2, we already talked about this. But I'll tell you specifically what we do as chiropractors. There's the segmental passive. That's when we do the adjustments. I'm going to make this screen bigger. There we go. So you can see me. So segmental or passive chiropractic. This is the foundational building blocks of movement segments. This is where one joint meets another. This is where there's so many nerve receptors in the muscles and the joints around each joint. And if those segments, if those building blocks aren't moving correctly, then you can't move other things correctly. So you have to start with segments moving. And then you can go into region and whole body, and these things work really good. Now, massage has a way of, since it's passive, it also is working on improving those segments, because you're not asking for active movements of the whole body or a region. So massage fits in there well at the beginning also. Brain, active and passive. This is where functional chiropractic neurology comes in. The master system is the nervous system. It's controlling all movement and all healing. So that's where the functional neurology comes into rehabilitating the body function, brain function. And all of this does play a role in that if it's done correctly. Principle number 2, nourishment. See, I'm like reading Daniel's playbook right here, right? So quality and quantity sleep. Well, where's that nourishment? Yeah, sleep is nourishing. It's also detoxifying. There's some magic that happens during sleep where the brain toxins get washed out. The sleep is like a washing machine for the brain. 7 to 10 hours of good sleep, including REM sleep. So we can go into that more in some other presentation. Motion promotes nourishment. So that goes back to principle number 1, right? When in doubt, look back to principle number 1. Blood flow and nerve signals and other signals for rebuilding. The body doesn't know how to rebuild unless you're moving. It knows how to rebuild correctly at that point. Again, that's why we don't brace. That's why we encourage movement. So you don't get scar tissue building, you get functional tissue. And neurologically, it sends signals to the brain that lets the brain know, hey, this is not a dysfunctional pain or absent area. This is something I need to use well for the future. Okay, now we get to specific nutrients. More protein. You need maybe, depends on the accident, maybe 30% more protein after an accident. Good protein. So to make new tissue, to work your immune system, which is important for wound repair. Chicken, fish, eggs, beef, all preferably organic and free range. And there's this little keyword over here, finished. So that's a little trick they're doing these days. Like, oh, it's grass-fed beef. Well, guess what? All beef is grass-fed. They all go out on the range until they don't. And then they're grain-fed and grain-finished. And then they've basically turned a salmon into a pig. Yeah, that's what happens to beef. I have friends that are in the cattle industry, so hopefully they don't watch this. So it'll say grass-fed, grass-finished. And that's like, okay, they finished on the grass as well as early. And so same thing with chickens and other stuff. They may say, wow, free range is like, it's free range for how long? For all of its life or just part? So there's all kinds of tricks they're playing now. So if you can get it from your neighbor or your backyard, that's the best. Vitamin C, C for collagen. What is collagen for? Collagen is for connective tissue. That's what connects together tendons and ligaments and joints and skin. And right, those people are taking collagen or putting collagen in their bodies, right? Collagen is good. Vitamin C is a way you can build it on your own, along with proteins. So where can you get vitamin C? Citrus, berries, peppers, dark green leafies. Peppers are actually really, really high. Hot peppers, if you can handle them, like loaded with vitamin C. Too much for me, though. Okay, zinc, protein building, again, new cells, immune support. Where do you get that from? Red meat, poultry, beans, nuts. Magnesium, again, good for immune function and wound repair. Magnesium is the iron of the plant world. Iron, is what are the center of our red blood cells and makes us red, makes our blood red. Magnesium is what makes plants green. And so that magnesium, so darker green, the more magnesium in there. So it's the iron of the vegetable world. Omega-3 fatty acids, that resolves inflammation and helps build new tissues. Also helps with hormones, helps with skin, all kinds of things. Cold water fish like salmon, cod, halibut, EPA and DHA for the brain, the joints, and the hormones. And finally, water. Water is important. My wife, she always says, if anybody's got any problem, ask them if they're drinking enough water. Because it works wonders for her. It helps with circulation and digestion and detoxification and oxygen flow to the body tissues for the same reasons. So drink the same ounces of water as 30 to 50% of your weight in pounds. Wow, that was tricky. But let's give you an idea. For a 150-pound person, that's 50 to 75 ounces. Okay? Or a half a gallon, approximately, 75 is about a half a gallon. 65. Okay, this is our last educational slide. Principle number 3, brain regulates pain. Brain is a great warning signal. It helps us stay away from things that will hurt us, get away from things that are hurting us. And so there's a lot of physical and mental pain after an auto accident. But it's a bad roadmap for a future. So people, I've had some people who just can't get in the car and can't drive mentally because they're just so scared, right? That's not helpful. Now, once their car is right after it's hit, it's good to get out of that car and to get help. But after you're all well and you're safe, then you need to be able to get back on it. So resetting the brain. Also for pain, if you have a chronic pain cycle, it's your body saying, hey, there's still a problem, there's still a problem. But if tissues are healed, but you have a pain cycle still, that means it's a brain issue. And the brain issue can be healed through proper body work. Sometimes it takes specific brain work. So how do we do it? As chiropractic adjustments help reset the brain. It's like a defibrillator, right? This little heart helps to reset the brain. Immediately when we do the adjustment, it sends a barrage of impulses to the brain and helps to reset or restart an area. Motion and massage, remap, is this word called homunculus. That means that different parts of the body are represented in the brain. And so there's a map for every body part in your brain. And we want those to be normal and healthy representations of your body, because if they're not, then you might have problems in that body part, or you might have pain that you perceive in that body part. So motion and massage help to reset those, as well as the adjustments resetting it. And nourishment allows for healing. We talked about that, decreasing that inflammatory cascade. So finally, what do you do for whiplash recovery? Within 24 to 72 hours, you want to go to urgent care. Why do you want to do that? Well, you want to know that things are stable, and they may take some x-rays. It's also actually good for your case. You get a medical doctor establishing, say, hey, there's really something wrong here. Or emergency room if you want to wait for like 24 hours in the emergency room. That's why urgent cares are better. Contact a trustworthy attorney's office. I underline trustworthy because most of those guys on the billboards are not trustworthy. So we trust Farahi Law. Get evaluated by and begin treatment with a chiropractor, preferably a chiropractic neurologist. Begin massage with someone who understands medical vehicle accidents like Daniel Morales. And it's never too late to start. So I think the attorney talked about that a bit, right? So when's the best time? Now. Well, what if it's been, well, now's the best time. Doesn't matter how long it's been. If it was yesterday, now's the best time. If it was a year ago, now's the best time. Now's the best time to start. So you can contact, and I've got our contact information on later. I'll get that on our last page. Okay, so your health is your choice. Movement or action is the first step to recovery. And you think, well, maybe it'll take care of itself. Really? You're going to say that even after all of this we've talked about? But we just want it. Just like, I want this to all go away. I want this just not to be a problem. Hopefully this will just go away. This picture here of this mama and her baby zebra is to help you understand. So let's pretend like this is a brand new born baby, right? Just born. The baby zebra's laying there just happy and tired, worn out. And so is the mama. The mama's standing up. She's like, baby, we got to run. We got to get up. We got to run. She's like, really? I'm just been born. She's like, I'm your mama. I know you just been born. And she's like, but you got to get up and you got to run now. And it's like, why? It's like, baby, the lions are coming. So, but there's not lions coming for us, right? Well, if you've been in an auto accident, there are lions coming for you. And that's this chronic pain. That's this financial troubles. And you can't just sweep it under the rug and hope it'll all go away, because it usually won't. The problems persist. So now is the time to take action. So what can you do? First step to recovery is taking action. And we're here to help you. Take the things that we've taught you tonight, apply them for yourself immediately. And if we can help you, we'd love to. All right. Thanks for your time and have a wonderful night. May God bless you. All right. Any other questions before we wrap it up? All right. We will sign off, stop our recording.